Welcome, everyone. This is the March 3rd, 2026 board briefing. Please let the record reflect that we have Commissioners Jordan, Waldrop, French, and Kearns here in the conference room. Commissioner Brooks is out, and we are going to lead off today with an update from Mike Burgess, our county lobbyist. And it's going to give us a rundown on everything Olympia. Take it away, Mike.
Sure, thank you, Commissioner. Getting down to the end here. Today's day 51 of 60, so a week and a half left-ish, and just kind of where we're at. We had a cutoff yesterday, one of the fiscal committee cutoffs, and then we will have another one on Friday. So that was the bills that passed the fiscal committees, and the House of Origin bills have to be off the floor by Friday. All the while, budget negotiations are going on. I know the transportation folks met yesterday. I haven't heard as much about the operating leadership and when they're meeting, but it's happening definitely as they reconcile differences in the budgets that were released a week ago Sunday. Um, and then just kind of where we were at and those things you'll remember in the capital budgets that our number one request was funded. And then on the operating side, um, the concern about, say unfunded mandates and different things like that, different costs being passed down to the county were pretty neutralized. Still don't see a lot of issues there, but again, still digesting budgets as time goes by. One interesting item on the traffic management center, so that would be in the transportation budget. There was a floor amendment offered by Senator Riccelli, and it was adopted that dealt with the issue that Kyle spoke to you about. And also kudos to Kyle. He testified in the committee about that. And for all intents, that helped with the amendment being hung that will fund the traffic management center. That needs to stay in the final budget. So we'll need to look to see what the budget looks like once negotiations are done. But it's a good sign that there was a floor amendment that was adopted. Those things are normally telegraphing something that will be part of the final agreement. So more to come on that once the transportation budgets are released. And I wouldn't anticipate that until late this week or even early next week. The budgets are generally the last things adopted on the final day of session. So, and that would be on Thursday, the 12th. So we'll look for that there. Um, this is our bill list that we talk about each week and just updating you on where things are. 1859 was the bill expanding the affordable housing opportunities for religious organizations. That bill's already made it to the governor, so it's passed both the House and Senate, and it's moved to the governor's office. The Land Banking Authority's bill, which is Representative Hill's bill, is moving, passed out of Ways and Means yesterday and is now in the Senate Rules Committee. The Waste to Energy bill also passed out of Ways and Means yesterday and is in Senate Rules, and it was amended. Senator Riccelli had a striking amendment. I believe it was a striking amendment, but it had an amendment to the bill that, in conversations with my colleagues with the city, that is an amendment that was supported by the city. So it looks like that bill is in a spot, in a good spot, and needs to move off the House floor, or excuse me, the Senate floor. Um, the TIF bill, the one that includes now the public safety option for TIF, is in rules also. So moving 2515 is the large energy use facilities that kind of became known as the data center bill, and that did contain that component to the bill that dealt with the tax issue for Spokane County. That bill failed to come out of committee last night. It did not make it out of Ways and Means. Bills like this, though, don't necessarily know that they're always dead. There could be some fiscal impact to the bill that I'm not aware of in terms of general fund. So this is still one to keep an eye on, but at this point, I think that bill has a difficult proposition moving forward. And then the last one, the residential development zone. So this is the one doing residential and commercial areas. Bill has been ongoing, received changes and lots of different amendment language throughout the process, but in conversations with Scott and others in that world, Scott Chesney on your staff and others over here, the bill is in a spot now where it does not need to be opposed, at least from our perspective. So kind of a quick update there, but again, the universe of things here is shrinking. So we'll focus on budgets and these other bills passing as we get to next week. And I'll, close the loop on a few more of these items when we talk next week on Tuesday. But getting down to the end here. If you have any questions, I can do my best to answer.
Any questions?
Um, um, Mike, there was that one, there was a couple bills, I think there was one in the House and one in the Senate that had to do with like funding flexibility for local governments.
Yeah. So you're speaking of House Bill 2442.
Yeah.
It did pass from the Senate Ways and Means Committee yesterday. There were a couple components to that were removed. You'll remember that one of the provisions in that bill would have been a utility tax for counties. That was removed from the bill yesterday in Ways and Means. But there are other provisions there that I'd sent to you weeks back. If you'd like, I can resend to you what flexibility options the bill has in it now.
There was something in there about public health or like a local sales option for.
Yes, I believe that stayed, Commissioner, but don't quote me there. Let me look and then get back to you.
I know there was a Senate companion
Right, but it's the House bill is the one that's moving.
that's moving, okay.
Mhm.
All right, so a couple things got stripped out, but if you could just give us an update on.
Yeah, I'll give you the
what's
components of
built
the bill.
It looks like it got pulled from rules for second reading, so.
Yep.
So on the 2515, the chair pulled the bill at the last minute, so it didn't fail. She just pulled it last minute, and we understand that there's last minute amendment that's going to be made to it, but from what we understand, it's still alive in the Senate, so we are continuing to pursue it.
I think, Commissioner, when I said failed, I meant to say it failed to pass from committee yesterday. It doesn't mean the bill's dead at this point.
Okay.
Anything else for Mike? All right.
Okay,
Short-
thank you,
short-
Commissioners.
Short and sweet this week. We'll,
Yeah, like I said, the universe is getting a lot smaller. So,
all right.
thank you all.
Yep, thank you. Mike?
He's not a scientist.
I know he's a physicist too.
Big bang, bang now.
But can you prove him wrong? I mean, no.
I'm open-minded.
Yeah, if you can show me something to prove, say, I don't know. Okay, we have our partners from the airport, so I'm gonna hand it on down. Take it away.
Yeah, good morning, commissioners. Nice to be here again chatting with you. Just as a refresher, anytime that the airport is contemplating some property acquisition in accordance with our interlocal with the city and the county, we need to come and seek approval for those. Property in front of you today, we actually did brief on back in December, and it was the Tillison property. But as part of that process, sort of at the midpoint of that process, once we had gotten through the county, but before we concluded with the city, some issues were identified that kind of constituted our need to pivot. And so did that, sort of restarted the process back here today to kind of talk about the changes and move it back through the process again. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rob to keep it on that, and I'll be here if there are any other additional questions.
Thank you, David. Good morning, everyone. So this is the proposed land acquisition that we have for that. It is in unincorporated Spokane County, West 59th Avenue, denoted there in that red outline there. It's about 5.39 acres, not inhabited in terms of the structures, just one old garage in there. It was appraised, as you'll see throughout the presentation, $460,000 was the appraised price. And we'll get into a little bit more detail about this, but it's in an airport compatibility zone number 2 for that, as well as a noise contour launch. But we could go to the next slide, Ron, for me. Thank you, sir. That box that you see there on there, that's essentially the 5.3 acre, 5.4 acres that we're looking at. You'll see notice a little bit of a carve out in the lower right hand side of that. That essentially is an adjoining property on there. And that's one of the items that Dave mentioned in terms of just a water well easement that we'll get to in a little bit in terms of that tie in there with that adjacent property. If you go on to the next one, you'll see just within the airport compatibility zone, this is considered to be a high risk area in terms of just where it is with landings, takeoffs in terms of the flight path on there. And so minimizing any kind of residential properties there or ownership there really makes the most sense. And it's really incumbent upon airports to be able to do and acquire property in those ACZ zones, especially number 2. Also limits height as well in terms of things obviously on there. So we wanted to, because it's in the ACZ2, definitely is something that we are interested in terms of acquiring that property on there. The other component is going to be the next slide, which is noise contour. And so it does fall within that yellow line in terms of acceptable decibel levels, 65 decibels, DNL, which is day-night level on there. And that's essentially just a measurement in terms of the noise level on there. So again, as you're taking off on that runway, that property is very, very close to that. So that noise is going to be very significant on there. So within those contours, again, a reason why the airport wants to acquire this property. The next slide will have a little bit more information in terms of just overall what that, you can see the purple is, that's the airport property that we have. So it falls within the adjacent properties that we already own for it. And so very compatible with what we already have out there in West Plains. And this next slide is going to be a little bit more information about the actual change that Dave identified on there. So as we were going through that, unfortunately, it was a little bit later in the process after we had already briefed on there. But we noticed a water well easement on the property and a joint water use and maintenance agreement with the adjoining landowner. Essentially what that did is that supplied water to the adjacent landowner on there. That was responsibility of the acquiring purchaser, so us in that regard. And so with that, we decided to take a little bit of a pivot rather than take on that ongoing long-term maintenance obligation there. We ended up working out a deal with the adjoining property owner to convey a portion of that property to them along with the water well for it to their ownership for that. As well as there was a minor fuel spill that was on the property as well that we needed to remediate for that. And so with that, what we did is we negotiated a slight reduction in price on there, as well as we essentially conveyed that you'll see in Ryan, if you could go to the next one, it's probably a little bit easier to see on this next slide. You can see that like rectangle there almost looks like a submarine, to be honest with you. But if you look on that one, I don't know why it came to my mind. But if you look on that, on the left-hand side of that in the back end, you can see that little white note there, the red. That's essentially the water well. And so what we wanted to do with that is just convey that to the adjoining landowner for that. So in consideration of that, what we ended up negotiating was a right of first refusal on the property. And so they had an offer on their property. The airport had a right to match that offer on there. So again, because of where it is in the compatibility zone, the noise contours, it makes sense to, if it comes up for sale in the future, the airport has that right to purchase that property, given again, the proximity to the runways on there. So with that, there was that was negotiated with the landowner there, and that has been finalized and agreed to. Now we're coming to seek approval for that. And the next slide just sort of summarizes everything. So I won't go through all of this detail for it, but it goes through the fair market value price. We did have an appraisal for it, which is on the next slide. And it's in within that property's summary in terms of the light industrial, so the noise contours, the compatibility zones for it. So the purchase price that we are seeking approval for is $460,000 or $1.96 per square foot. That was slightly reduced for the environmental remediation for that. With that, that is going to conclude the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that folks may have.
I could just add one thing. The Tolson's approached us. They approached us, asking if we want.
Any questions? All right. Looks like we're good.
Cool. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
All right, next up, we have Rose Noble from Business Spokane, the quarterly report.
I gotta follow the airport.
Yep.
Cool. Buttoned up over here.
They're how most of the tourists get here.
Yes, I know, absolutely. We love
Strategic partner.
we love the airport. I have a couple more copies for the commissioners that weren't able to come to our annual meeting. Thank you, Commissioner Kearns, for coming, as always. We love your support. Thank you again for having me today. I know I begged to get in front of you, but I just think it's so important to keep you updated on all the stuff that we're working on. I know I've had a couple solo conversations with a few of you throughout the year. I'd love to increase those moving forward. But today I'm going to quickly go through our community impact report highlights. So you can go to the next slide. Just a very high level, a few numbers we pulled out for you, some of our marketing. We saw 1.4 million or just under 1.5 million active users on our website this year. This past year, of course, our websites where we house most of our information. Largest tool. I will tell you that's slightly down from 2024, and we are tracking kind of AI use and what people are searching on the internet. AI is pulling up information first for them. So the importance of noting that is that AI is still pulling from websites with information. So we still want to make sure our website is robust. So Visit Spokane's SEO is still ranking in the top when you're searching for Spokane, which we're excited about, or Spokane County. 170,000 guides and maps distributed. So that's sending outside of the area and getting people to information about our area to come visit. Excited about that. We had just under 45 million impressions on our digital ads released in 2025, which is slightly up from 2024. And in 2026, we set a goal for 50 million on our ads. And then 13 million in earned media value. That's almost double what we did in 2024. And earned media value is when we pitch something to the media, they pick it up, they put it out there, and that basically measures how much would it have cost if we would have spent to place that article or that content. It would have cost us 13 million, but we got it for free. One of our articles was syndicated by I think Forbes or something last year, so it kind of brought those numbers way up. So these would be pieces that are pitched to local, regional, and national, and a couple international media sources in 2025. Go to the next slide. I kind of went in depth a little bit about this at our annual meeting. This is my favorite number, and we're looking to increase that as much as we can. So in 2025, we spent $705,000 with local businesses. That's businesses in Spokane County. So when we do our work, when we place ads, we try to work with local creative agencies. We also use local shippers, local AV for any events we have. Transportation, we're hiring for when groups come in, we're hiring local transportation companies. And then of course, any product that we might buy for a trade show type of feature or maker situation is with local artists. So all of those dollars are staying in the county. And obviously that's through the lodging tax and TPA that gets filtered to us, and then how we spend it is important. But we've done a lot of work to make sure that we're spending as much as we can in the community. And then the 5,000 number that you see, those are the referrals to businesses. So that's money that we can't count, but when a convention group is coming to town and they ask about a printer or an AV company, we can connect them with someone. And even our marketing, when we have people that are working with us in consulting, we can send them to local businesses. So we had 5,000 referrals. Even if it was $1 each time, that's $5,000. I'm sure it was multiple. So, and then the little donut there just kind of breaks down how we spend. Next slide. Okay, so in terms of sales, just a quick recap of 25 in terms of our group rates. Our group business, we had 106 groups come in 2025, resulted in 76,350 contracted room nights. So that means room nights that had actually signed a contract to come and did come, not projected, not estimated, legitimate ones. And then it was about $42 million in economic impact was generated from that, and a total of 44,600 attendees at our group events convention center. Go to the next page. Continuing convention services, we had 39 site planning visits, meaning we brought at least 39, sometimes there was multiple meeting planners to Spokane to check out the destination. And that's really important because when we do bring a meeting planner on site, we have an 80 to 90% of the time we are going to actually win that business. So Spokane is a destination you have to sell, you have to be persistent about. Once they see it, they understand it. So they can walk downtown and see all of our facilities, all of our amenities so close, which really is a truly unique footprint compared to most of the cities in the United States that we're competing against. And then we have a 99% post-convention satisfaction rate. We're really proud of that. This is a survey that we send all of our convention goers, our meeting planner, the people that make decisions after they've been here. And we also have them fill out information about not only Visit Spokane services, but how was the convention center and how were the hotels they stayed in. So it is a true partnership to get that number to stay where it's at. It's increased over the last few years. I think it was around 96 or 97 when I got here, so we've increased it a little bit more, which is great.
Question.
Yeah.
The number of groups and all that, is that data directly from the, or is that like a broader
The one of
definition of convention groups?
Yeah, so the 106 groups on the previous slide, that's actually groups that Visit Spokane recruited and worked with. There's more
Okay.
groups that so we don't count local groups or local celebrations, and then the sports situation would be a different data as well.
Okay.
But happy to pull an aggregate number if you guys are interested.
I just want to get a sense of
Yeah.
what the scope was, so
Mhm.
thank you.
Okay, so the 106, so that didn't count any of the sports
No.
related?
Nope.
Okay,
That's no sports. So sports is gonna have smaller numbers in terms of just the business they do. It's not, I mean, they have a heavy Q1. And Ashley can talk about that a little bit better than I can. But that's just the business that we do. And we actually are very strict with what we do count as a Visit Spokane metric. There's some leads that we assist on. We also don't count as a group that we brought.
so Ashley's numbers would be
Different.
specific to any of the sports related visits. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Right, go to the next page. Just in terms of visitor experience or visitor center destination experience, we had just under 30,000 people come into the visitor center, which is located at Riverfront Park. Most of the time, they're asking for a restroom scenario or a simple scenario, but there are many times where we're giving them referrals to restaurants and things to do. That is down from 2024, we had 35,000. However, you can see that we engaged with 3,200 additional guests at activations. What that means is we have set up shop at a few offsite scenarios, including P&Q, middle school b-ball, a Gonzaga event, to make sure that we have an informational booth to provide information to people that may or may not be visiting from out of town at those events. We also donate, just a fun number that we don't talk about enough, we donate 300 staff hours to Hoop Fest. We also provide all of their welcome bags. We manage their sign-in tent. We do a lot for Hoop Fest that I think we should be talking about more because that is the largest event that we have in Spokane. And then another thing that we're not talking about enough that you're gonna hear me talking about more is our involvement with the Air Force Base. Every month, we have our visitor experience director, Charlotte Finnegan, is out there at the Right Start program, going through informational welcome to the neighborhood type of information for new military professionals that are joining. And then there has been some offshoot opportunities. Last year, I did do 2 networking situations where I met with spouses of individuals who had been relocated to provide more information and connect them to the community. So we're excited about the relationship we have there. Next page. This is just a quick shout out for some of the other work that we do. It's not all groups, it's not all leisure ads. We're trying to elevate the destination as much as we can. I worked with the City of Spokane Tourism Arts and Culture Investment Grant Committee, which is the committee that they use to allocate some of their lodging tax that they scrape off the pot for events. And you know, Mayor Brown had come in and she wanted to resurrect this committee. It had been dormant for 4 years, and that means about $100,000 a year was being collected. So they were sitting on a pot of $400,000, and we heard that they wanted to be used for the arts, but I had to like come in and tell them, well, there's certain things that has to be attached to with RCW in terms of state law and tourism promotion. And because these are lodging tax dollars, you want to make sure that whatever you're using them for does have a decent ROI to refill the pot of overnights. Otherwise, you're just depleting the fund. So was able to get a few hoteliers, myself on the committee, and help rework the entire program for the Tourism Arts and Culture Investment Committee so that it is giving to arts and culture based events, but it still is tying back to lodging and overnights and the importance of tourism, and created an entire fact sheets, multiple opportunities for people to read and learn about tourism and lodging tax, and even connect with grants at visitspokane.com, which is managed by yours truly until we have an official person added to the team. This did result in us winning the first Tourism Advancement and DEI Award from the State of Washington Tourism in 2025. So pretty big deal. Excited about it. Next page. We can go through this really quickly. This is just a fun new program that we launched last year called Inspo, where we're highlighting the makers and doers that have a product or experience at Spokane that are very unique. This is a leisure focused campaign where we're able to tap into the group side. So it's a unique case study for us. All of the artists that you see there on the screen, we're able to loop into a group capacity where we can bring them if they sell a physical product to a trade show that we're doing for such as IMEX, which is the largest group-based trade show we do every year. We can bring them and have them activate a space and do giveaways and sell, have the opportunity for people visiting our booth to make the product at the same time. And then food-based artists or culinary professionals were able to loop in a catering capacity or off-site party third site experience situation for a group and convention. So we launched this in 2025. We had really good success in terms of engagement. We launched 6 makers. In 2026, we're going to be launching 9 makers. And because we've had a lot of interest from people that want to be in this program, we are also doing a micro inspo scenario. We won't do the full investment that the main featured makers get, but we will do some social and digital features for those individuals. So the idea is we're allowing the creatives that live and work here in Spokane County to help us tell the story of Spokane County. So it's authentic manufactured. Next slide. You can keep going with that. The other thing I'll just note, if you land here, this is a great program for us to be able to literally showcase all the corners and nooks and crannies of the county. We could feature artists that live, you know, north, south, east, west. We have Liberty Lake Wine Cellars will be launched here. They're one of our more recent makers. So we're able to really focus, district focus. We can elevate across the region, depending on where artists live and where they sell their products. So it's a way for us to focus, share neighborhoods and local businesses and make it feel personal. And what you're seeing on the screen is an example of an artist that we did activate one of our trade show booths. Everybody could come up and they made their own keychain. It had a little Washington State with a heart where Spokane is, and it was a big hit. It was also very loud because they were hammering. So everybody in the trade show was like, what is going on at this booth? So we get that worked. Next page. And you can keep going, just click through that. You can click through that there. Those are just examples. Okay, looking ahead, you can go ahead to the next tab. All right, so for 2026, what do we have in the book? So we have 72 definite groups coming in 26. Again, these are just convention group. This is and ones that we actually take credit for recruiting and bringing. 26 of them are multi-venue. What does that mean? They're using multiple hotels and the convention center. They're not just in one hotel. 44,000 attendees and a total of 65,000 hotel rooms right now. There is room to grow that a little bit in the year, but for the most part, come May, June, if we don't have additional numbers that filtered into the end of the year, this will be the numbers that were set. So a lot of our business is focused on, when it comes to convention groups, is future bookings, future groups for future years. And an example of that would be next week, we have the American Legion National group coming for a site visit, which if they do choose Spokane, if they like what they see, it's a total of 14,000 rooms in one event, which will be here in 2032. So it's second largest group that we're entertaining. Back in 2019, I believe we had an Air Force group that was like around 19,000 rooms. And I remember that because it skews our data all the time, right? We would love to have a group that's 14,000 rooms at one time. In fact, there's an opportunity to attend a reception next week. If you're interested, let me know. We're hosting a community celebration for the American Legion National Committee, and they're interested in meeting community leaders. So we would love to have any of you at that reception. Next page. You can keep going. You can keep going. Okay, this is just a really quick slide to show you kind of peak travel for convention business. There's 2 slides. There's this, which is 600 rooms and above, and the next slide is 600 rooms below. So it shows you that April is kind of a heavy month, April leading into May. Of course, we have June, July, August are our summer tourism. Leisure tourism is robust during the summer. And then it picks up back into group again, September and October. So we really kind of bookend the year with group business, group activity. And we are, of course, always trying to see how can we spread into the shoulder season? How can we get more groups to come in the first quarter? How can we get more groups to come November, December? But really, for the most part, April through October is convention season, with April and October being the peaks. And then there's some little ebbs and flows in between then. And I think that might be, is that the last page? That's total room nights by month. And you can just click through to the end, because I think that's it. The rest is pretty self-explanatory. All right. So it was a good year. We have room to grow. 2026 is looking good. We have a new VP of Sales and Services, replacing our longtime employee Ruth Fitzgerald, who is essentially leaving the industry. So we're excited for our new employee, and she's very, she's hit the ground running. She is also a seller, so we stole her from the Portland Convention Center. So we also brought along a lot of Portland contacts, which is great because Portland is considered a competitive city for us. So we're able to pull some data with that hire. And then we also are posting a job. You'll see that it just was posted this week for a West Coast seller. We were out a West Coast seller for 8 of the 12 months last year due to some medical leave. And that individual has since no longer working with us on their own on behalf. So we are hiring a replacement. So we do think 2025 numbers would have been a little bit more robust had we had a full team. And we're looking forward to getting back into a full team in 2026. And of course, we have the American Legion coming next week. That would be a huge win for us. And we have 2 other site visits in March that result in an additional 10,000 room nights. So we have the potential to end March with positive influence and to the tune of almost 24,000 room nights if we're able to convince those 3 groups to come. It'd be great. That's
Any
all.
questions?
Oh my God, any questions?
Questions for Rose?
Good information.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. So I'll be back in another quarter, and we do have by that time, we'll probably have our tourism economic impact numbers, which is the full number of visitation. And it does break out into, you know, food and beverage, hotel, leisure activity. So you'll have that data soon. We get our 2025 numbers in May. There will be an event around that, but I'll also have a report to bring you all questions at that time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, next up, we have, this is Austin Stewart, Project Manager, Oversight Remedial Action Grant, Colbert Landfill.
Good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
For those of you who don't know, this is Austin Stewart. He's one of our project managers on Lindsay's team in solid waste. Does a lot of our work on our landfills, especially. Here to brief you about a grant opportunity. It should the board choose to pursue it.
Yes, like Kyle mentioned, my name is Austin Stewart. I work with Solid Waste Division, and something that's kind of background, it also encompasses landfill closure. And our landfill closure division manages 3 major landfill sites. We have the Colbert landfill, which is up north near Colbert. We have the Micah landfill, which is down south near Micah. And we have our Green Acres landfill, which is actually in Liberty Lake. So we are in front of you today, like Hal mentioned, because we'd like to receive approval to pursue a remedial action grant that is offered through the Department of Ecology. So this remedial action grant is actually for local governments like the county to clean up hazardous waste sites. And yes, our Colbert landfill specifically is what we're asking for this grant, and it is considered a hazardous waste site. Like it says on the slide, the due date for the application is March 17th, but we have everything all ready to go, so that should not be a problem. And the way that this grant works is you come up with an application and you have a list of eligible items, and that's listed out in the ecology guidelines. Everything that we're asking for is an eligible item, and every eligible item is eligible for 50% reimbursement, and that also includes county labor, which is nice because effectively what this means is this grant reimbursement will be paying for the extra activities and work that we are requesting from this grant. So even though we are requesting $168,000 with that 50% reimbursement, it should really be only about $84,000 over the length of the biennium, which is reduced even further by including county labor, which we will be out there conducting our remedial activities and operations and maintenance on our landfills anyway. So really what this allows us to do is pay for those extra activities. Next slide, please. So the reason we are coming before you today to ask for this grant is, well, I need to back up a little bit, just provide a little bit of context for our Colbert landfill site. It was operated from 1968 to 1986. there's this really 5-year important window from 1975 to 1980, where Keytronic Corporation and Fairchild Air Force Base were coming out to the landfill and disposing of chlorinated solvents or VOC contamination at the landfill. And the problem with this is back then there was no bottom liner to catch all that contamination. And because it is heavier than water, there was really only one place for it to go. It infiltrated down into the aquifers below and contaminated the site. And since it is heavier than water, it settled into low spots and absorbed to that media, which becomes a challenge later, and I'll explain. But this caused some big issues for the site. And the big remedial technology selected to clean up the site was a pump and treat system. So effectively what that does is it extracts contaminated water, it strips that VOC contamination from the water and discharges the clean water to the Little Spokane River. This was created in 1994 and it ran for 20 years until 2014, when Ecology and EPA said, you know, we need to really just enter a shutdown test to see if this pump and treat system is adding any significant benefit to the cleanup of the site. So in 2014, we shut off the pump and treat system. And as you can see from the graph, we are seeing some increased concentrations in certain areas and wells around the landfill. And really what this means is that the pump and treat system is just not going to clean up the site like we initially thought. So that brought us to our next discussion of what are our next steps? What are we going to do to remediate this site? The pump and treat system is obviously not the answer. So my belief, best remedial path forward is between 3 options or a combination of. We have monitored natural attenuation, which is really what we're doing now. We're monitoring the site and we're allowing natural processes to just degrade that contamination. But we're not really seeing that based on our data. And you need heavy lines of evidence and concrete evidence showing that this is the case. So we might need to explore something a little more proactive, which would be either biostimulation or bioaugmentation. And this really relies on certain bacterial colonies to be injected into the aquifer. And these bacteria are interesting. Through their metabolic processes, they take that contamination and convert it into non-toxic end products. So this is beneficial for several reasons. Number one, you're injecting it straight at the site, which is really the source of the problem. Number two, you're naturally degrading these products through these bacterial communities. So really, this is the path that we believe is the best route forward. But the problem is, like I mentioned before, it relies heavily on lines of evidence. So this is really what this grant project is about. It is a project to go out and collect these lines of evidence and everything that we need to know exactly how to move forward with this remediation process. So phase 1 of this grant would be going out and just purchasing some of the monitoring equipment and supplies that we need to conduct this study. Phase 2 would be going out and actually collecting those groundwater samples, conducting that laboratory analysis to get those lines of evidence that we need so that we can move forward and effectively remediate the site at the source. So that is really the big factor, the driving factor behind this grant project. Next slide, please. So the big justification for pursuing these remedial options, besides just remediating the site, is a significant cost savings over time. So looking at this graph, the green line represents pursuing these remedial options that we're proposing today. The blue line is if we're lucky and we just do nothing and can continue monitoring like we are doing now. The yellow line is if we're somewhat unfortunate, we have to restart that pump and treat system, and we'll see a long-term linear increase. The problem with this pump and treat system, it is more of a Band-Aid than the solution to the problem. We have been running this pump and treat system and this remedial technology for many, many years, and it is not going to clean up the issue. And it's been well documented that some of these cleanup sites can last hundreds of years. So we might even see another 30+ years of ongoing monitoring and costs at the site. So what this project and these remedial options would allow us to do is expedite that cleanup. It would allow us to inject that bacteria to the source areas. And another benefit is those bacterial colonies draw the contamination out of that sorbed media. Pump and treat system just can't do that. So what you're gonna see is in the long run, we're going to see significant reduction in our O&M requirements, our monitoring, our legal oversight. So that is really the main benefit, along with just cleaning up that site with the remedial technologies. And it's been documented now that pump and treat systems usually need a polishing step. And this is a widely accepted and well-documented practice. It is safe, especially compared to the contamination that's down below. So we are very confident that this is the best remedial route forward, and Ecology has agreed with us in this case. Next slide, please. Are there any questions?
I'll lead off, on the, can you click back 2 slides? One more, right there. So prior to the shutdown of the pump and treat system, those are actual measurements, correct? Like you were monitoring. I mean, as I see this graph, I mean, that looks pretty low to me. Are those considered safe levels prior to the shutdown? I mean, they certainly spike after the shutdown, but just visually on the graph, it looks very low.
So each of the colors represents a different contaminant.
Yep.
Each one has its own cleanup level. So while some of them might look like they're in the safe zone, it's also a diluted number because you're drawing in all this extra water and diluting the contamination. So
Okay.
really what you're seeing is when we shut down the pump and treat system, you're seeing a more accurate representation of the numbers.
Okay, because when I was looking at, I mean, when I'm looking, it's like,
Oh, this is
this
great.
graph would make you think that
But it's
that
working.
pump and, pump and filters is a success. So I mean, looking at that prior to the shutdown, so, okay.
And that's what we thought as well. And we thought, let's shut it down. Let's just see what the numbers look like. And then we shut it down. We're like, ooh, it's not great.
Okay,
So
Which means the contamination is still sitting there, even if you're drawing more water through it. Right, you're just getting like a diluted lemonade instead of concentrated lemonade. You think about like power.
now, when you said, so you're gonna introduce some bacterias that are gonna kind of go after the contaminant. Does the pump and filters, will those be turned back on in conjunction with the bacteria, or is that system totally shut down and won't be used again?
that system could be turned on if we need to, but the problem is the pump and treat system would interfere with the bacterial colonies
Okay.
and the, emulsified vegetable oil food that we'd be
Okay.
injecting down.
So it's not set up for them to kind of work in conjunction, that.
No, it could be used as a fail-safe if something were to happen, but luckily this is a very safe
Okay.
approach.
I really liked it not turning back.
Okay,
It's expensive. It really just delays the inevitable
okay.
and allows those ongoing costs to accumulate.
Any other questions?
I do want to make it,
On the cost graph, are those dollar amounts at the annual? That's cumulative?
It's expensive.
Just keeps on giving.
What's the funding stream? Covering these costs, so the grant helps, but that's.
Yeah,
Not
this is,
close to the dollar amounts in the future.
the grant gets us started, and because it's a new activity, that's why it's eligible. We're just doing our same every day, be a different case. But the landfill closure account is roughly depleted, so we've been on about a 4-year transition of budgeting our landfill closure activities into our solid waste disposal rates. So we were at a point 3 years ago where we had about 16 months of funding. And what we did was buffer that out. So solid waste started covering 30%, and 60%. About done.
We also have aquifer protection funding as well.
That's some of that, yeah, we were able to use some of the EPA from MICA. So that helped because the MICA is in the SVRP. Some of those activities are eligible.
I want to make it clear. So this grant application is not actually the injection of the bioaugmentation enzymes. It is collecting the data to make sure that we know how much and where and what we are injecting. So it's basically like if you're going to the doctor's office and you feel like you have diabetic symptoms, you don't actually have that diagnosis yet, you need more information to make sure that your path forward is the right one. That's what this grant is. It's setting up the stage to say, yes, bioaugmentation is the correct solution, but we can't make that jump until we have better data on the conditions that are present underground.
And to follow up with that, you have to have these lines of evidence to make your case to legal oversight like the EPA and ecology, or they won't allow you to do that. So it is a necessary first step to move forward with any of these, what we consider ideal remedial options.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Are there any? I just want to make it clear, that we are approved to apply for this grant. Do you guys see any hesitations? Okay.
Good.
Great, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Matt Zarecor, franchise amendments.
Good morning, commissioners. Two quick items this morning. This first one is a franchise amendment for Nightcom, which is a fiber optic company. Before they just had discrete locations around the county and we'd expanded it once. And now they just want to go countywide, which we're good with. So that would be the proposal, is to amend their franchise for the entire county. Happy to answer any questions on that. If you're good with it, it'll come back before you.
We're good.
Okay.
We've been through this a few times.
Yeah, it comes up. Franchises are always going to be with us. They're 15-year renewals, so that to me felt like a good time frame. It gives us an opportunity to revisit terms of franchises, but they're not coming even every 5 years would feel like a lot. We have a lot of franchises out in the world. All right, next one is a TIF lift for City of Liberty Lake. It's for the Hub Sports Center out in the valley, and it's their outdoor field project. You can see up on the slide there, the fund balance as of February 4th of this year was 7.6 million in the TIF and 4.7 in the lift. The request is 30% TIF funding, 750,000. The lift is 1.75 million. That's 70% lift for a total ask of 2.5. And we have, next slide, please. Got a series of pictures here of the improvements. That one's during construction. The next one's of the completed improvements. And we've been out, we've inspected it. It's all built, it's all good to go. They've deeded the property that the parking area sits on to the City of Liberty Lake. And we believe the request is appropriate. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions? I think we're good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, next up. We have Doug Chase. Doug, and so I'm gonna start off with a Sourcewell contract.
Hey,
Recreation management software.
yes, good morning, commissioners. We have here today, we've got two items. The first one is the Sourcewell contract. Rachel Hanson, our recreation manager, is with me and will be presenting. And I want to introduce our new recreation coordinator, Zach Carmen, who has also helped with this project. And as mentioned, our software is expiring here at the end of the year. The vendor was kind enough to put us on notice about Thanksgiving last year. And so the team has been very busy identifying new software so that we will be in a good position to have no breaks in service as we look at 2027. So with that, I'll turn it over to Rachel.
So good morning and thank you for your time. Today we are requesting, as Doug mentioned, approval to utilize the Sourcewell cooperative contract to move forward with the Kaizen recreation management software as our new replacement recreation platform. This is required because, again, we are losing our service with our existing one that we've had since about 2015. And these actions of moving into a new recreation software will allow us to continue operating and collecting revenue without any interruptions across our parks and recreation. So right now we use something called Itenio and Team Sideline to manage a range of all of our services. That includes point of sale, scheduling, aquatics admissions, reservations, campground reservations, Liberty Lake parking fees, facility rentals, and field and court rentals. In late 2025 is when we were put on notice, and the system will sunset that we currently have right now in December of 2026. After that date, we will no longer be supported. So since this impacts every revenue stream that we have, replacing it isn't optional. We are needing a functioning system to provide processing of registrations, collecting payments, managing programs, and running our daily operations. Next slide, please. We took a structured approach to finding a replacement in coordination with county IT and the purchasing department. First, we reviewed our operational needs and identified gaps in our current system. Then we connected with 4 different recreation software vendors and went through demonstrations and detailed reviews. And then from there, we narrowed it down to 2 different systems that met our needs. Both are available through a cooperative purchasing agreements. After comparing the functionalities or long-term fit, we are recommending Kaizen. It offers alignment with our operations, it has long-term customization, and it allows us to consolidate multiple systems into one, which will be really helpful for us. Next slide, please. This slide shows the comparison at a higher level. Right now, we rely on 2 different systems to do what should really happen in one. And this creates extra steps for our staff and a less consistent experience for the public. Kaizen, it allows us to bring those functions together into one platform. Some of the key improvements include stronger reporting and analytics, better customer service tools, integrated waivers and documents, improved financial integration, and more of a mobile-friendly platform. It also supports things like memberships, program management, and league scheduling in one place. And overall, it simplifies our operations for staff and makes the customer service more straightforward. Next slide, please. Kaizen is a modern recreation management system designed to handle facility reservations, the point of sale, memberships, day use management, campground reservations, programming, and payment processing all in one. It's mobile friendly and easy for the for residents to navigate and more efficient for staff to manage. Next slide. The estimated annual software cost for Kaizen is about $32,000 with a small annual increase built in. The initial 2026 cost would come from the Recreation Special Revenue Fund, the operating contingency. And beginning in 2027, it would be built into our regular operating budgets. While these subscription costs are higher than what we currently pay, the major difference comes from the credit card processing fees. Under our current setup, we pay high processing costs. So by transitioning to Kaizen, their payment processor, these fees would drop significantly. Doing this would lead to the consolidation of our current payment processors, and then county fairgrounds can be included in this move over.
What we mean by that, the fairgrounds now, you currently can't go online and make a reservation for the campground the way that you can at Liberty Lake. So they take everything over the phone. I think they're excited for the opportunity to be able to utilize this looking ahead. So that'll be a nice added bonus.
Yeah. Reservations. And we'd also like to mention that Kaizen has passed the county IT software security risk assessment. Next slide, please. For cost comparison, this slide shows the full financial picture using 2025 actual revenue, transactions, and expenditure numbers in conjunction with quoted numbers from reviewed software options. With our current system, we pay about $8,000 in software fees, but over $170,000 in credit card processing fees, for a total of roughly $180,000 annually. With Kaizen, the software cost is higher at $32,000 with an additional $3,000 estimated equipment costs for the first year. But processing fees are estimated around $28,000. So this brings the total estimated yearly cost to about $63,000. So overall, this transition results in significant reduction in total annual cost when you factor in all factors. Next slide.
While we're on this slide, I'll just point out, we are looking into, with the Kaizen investment, we'll be purchasing the new, a different credit card provider, different equipment. If we can transition to that processor this year sooner than later, then we will do that. It looks like that could be possible, but it largely depends on Itineo and their willingness to work with us. But secondarily to that, we have been working on trying to get those fees down. If we are stuck working with the existing vendor, they really ramped them up in 2025 dramatically. And so there's some really good communication going on now where they seem willing to work with us. So one way or another, we are hoping to achieve some cost savings this calendar year. But again, looking forward, we have guaranteed overall savings here with the shift.
Sorry, I'm just trying to look at those slides. So what, say the total yearly cost previously with the previous system was 180,000. So what is your estimate for the total yearly cost?
63.
Oh, I thought that was just
The
year
next
one.
box down.
Next.
The green, yeah. Yeah, so you're seeing Itineo Teams Island is our existing in the dark green. The middle is the one that we're recommending going
Right.
with. And then there was a third vendor just for comparison to make sure we were on track with our numbers. How we were doing it, we were comparing because it seems like a big number jumped out.
Plugged in the actual figures from 2025 per their fees and percentages to get an idea of what that would look like if we were to have had that in place.
Okay, so the year one cost would be 63 and that's what we think it'll continue to be.
No, it won't be
They have a 3% yearly uplift.
34,000,
okay.
yeah,
On the software
yeah,
side.
yeah, on the software side. Yeah, so
And it's a apples to apples comparison, right? That's a total year. Yes.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yep.
for
that
the
was-
first year, yeah. Okay, so today we're requesting authorization to utilize the Sourcewell cooperative contract to move forward with the implementation of Kaizen as presented. This allows us to begin transition planning well ahead of the December 2026 deadline, avoiding service disruptions and moving toward a more modern and efficient system for both staff and residents. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, you can answer anything.
Any other questions? We're good.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Julie, thank you very much. We've got one other item that we're doing a touchback on with I think a change of a sentence or two. And I'll let Julia Culp, our landscape architect project manager, present on the site.
Hi, as Doug mentioned, this is something that is likely very familiar. Here back with the Washington State Parks easement we have at Lance Ferry. We briefed on this in October with adopted resolution and returned the documentation to the state. Who came back with some minor edits for us. So largely this looks like first page, putting on their letterhead with kind of their formatting with their whereas statements. No real edits there on language. The biggest change is an exhibit D that was added to the documentation, which is labeled additional provisions. And this requests that there's vegetation replacement if there's any construction within the easement. This is something we've worked with them on to just maintain habitat in that area. And I think it's worth noting that should we do construction in the easement area, that is within the shoreline and it would require vegetation replacement regardless.
So it's a friendly reminder that we have to do what we're already required to do.
Exactly. I wanted to make sure to add that. Yeah, so we're here to try and accommodate that. Move forward.
So this resolution would supersede the one previous. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, this brings us to miscellaneous items. Okay,
I have
take it away, Commissioner Wahlberg.
So I just want to give an update that John Colton and I last week had a very good meeting with Senator Murray's transportation staff person, and we floated the idea of applying for congressionally directed spending for the Argonne Gap Centennial Trail project, part of the bigger Argonne Road and Centennial Trail project. And it was received very well. And John's helping just draft like a follow-up email to the staff person just to clarify if there's any other questions. But I think that the portal just opened yesterday. I think I saw an email from Lizette. So
Yeah, both senators, so we're working on getting.
So anyway, I just wanted to say, to give you an update that meeting went very well. I think we just need to clarify the $2 million ask goes to exactly what part of the project. But he understood that we're trying to keep it fairly flexible because we're getting other dollars and we're applying for the build grant. So we kind of want this spending to kind of fill in the gaps. And so we don't want to be too specific about exactly what part of the trail project it would go to, but like that it would go to the trail, either separated pathway that will be developed or the over underpass of Argonne. So anyway, but it went very well, and you know, I think John can follow up if he has other concerns, but I don't think we have any concerns. I think that would be a really good project to apply for. So, and we did get a chance to meet with the DOT staff person who used to work in Representative Baumgartner's office and maybe Captain Morse Rogers' office. Anyway, and so we're gonna follow up with him on the build grant. Unfortunately, all the people in that department were out at a conference, and so we weren't able to meet with anyone directly in the grants department. But this person is a government affairs person and knows a lot about what's going on at DOT. So we got some good insights there. Just passing along that this is a really great project from Spokane County. So thanks to the public works staff for helping develop some materials. So it went well.
This afternoon, you'll see a 2 p.m. agenda item for the Avista concessions contract. It's a little different than usual. The contract not actually there yet, but we are asking that you approve the signature once it's finalized. Legal didn't get a hold of it until it was uploaded on Wednesday, so they're just doing a couple tweaks, but we think it'll be done before next week, and we're racing the clock for opening day. I think we probably maybe missed opening day, but we'd like to be as shortly thereafter as possible, or if we can get it done quickly and to be done. So just FYI, if anybody is not liking that unusual stuff, we should pull it. We have done it before, not often. Usually the contract's done, but that's how that one is. Any concerns? And then Nathan DePaula, why don't you come sit up at the end, Nate? We have a new staffer in the budget office, just want to put name to face for everybody. Nathan DePaula is replacing Patrick Riley, who went up to Public Works. Learned yesterday his nickname is Tate, if you wanna.
So it's what?
Tate.
He'll be living and working out of the cubicle right on the other side of my office. So. Got a rounded out team and get them working.
Good. Where do you join us from?
I recently just graduated from Whitworth in
Okay.
January, so end of January. So just kind of just applied for the job.
Very good.
And I was like, right away. I was working with my dad previously, but he's a painting contractor. That's just been in Spokane for 20 years, so
very cool.
Been helping him, so.
We're gonna teach him everything he needs to know about Spokane County.
Awesome. You're in good hands.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, okay. Martha Lou.
Yes. Thank you.
Just to give you an update, I've sent you some emails this morning as a follow-up to the email I sent yesterday morning. There was some confusion with a sewer billing postcard. It went out to sewer customers informing them that we're transitioning to a new billing service, Invoice Cloud. And unfortunately, at the printer, the data did not roll over accurately, so our customers received mismatched names and addresses on the postcards. So Public Works Reception and Sewer Billing fielded hundreds of calls yesterday. People extremely concerned about the integrity of their billing information. If they have auto pay, does it affect their bank? Anyway, I worked with Invoice Cloud and with Marina Des. We have a new postcard that is going to be mailed today. The printer is paying for the printing and the postage because it was their error. And it's going to clarify what happened. And I've also sent out some talking points. So, so all's well that ends well. Unfortunately, Scraps had information errors, and they send out notices for pet license renewals. And they arrived almost back to back. So we received some calls from people saying, well, I received this from sewer billing, and then Scrap sent me my pet license renewal that I need to renew the license for my dog, and I don't have a dog, I have a cat. So.
My mom got one. Telling her to renew for a cat that she doesn't own.
Yeah.
She has a dog.
So it was just a timing that has sort of exacerbated the concern for some folks. So I sent you the information as well as your executive assistants. It's being taken care of. It wasn't sewer billing. It wasn't Invoice Cloud. It was strictly at the printer. And if just one field in a spreadsheet doesn't roll over correctly, it throws everything off.
They go to the right houses at least.
Yes.
It's just, my house would have your name and your house would have Ron's name.
Yeah.
So
My mom's dog was very offended. He assures us he is not a cat.
Was it the same issue with both Scraps and the sewer bill?
No, because Scraps had sent out these notices internally. And something
So
happened.
those names and addresses were correct,
Yes.
but not the animals.
Right.
Okay.
So Commissioner,
Oh,
is
no.
if you need to renew the license on your elephant, but it's like, I don't have an elephant, I have a rabbit, so.
So that is their own internal
Yes.
data error at
And
the Scraps.
Ronnie's taking care of that.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's the big news right
Oh,
now.
boy. Fun Monday for you.
Oh, it was.
Oh, my goodness.
So, and also just as an FYI, the communications office, we're auditing the website. Just, I'm trying to prepare everything, so it's going to be, any loose ends or details are taken care of for whomever you hire to replace Pat. So. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Executive session items.
Okay, any miscellaneous?
No.
Okay, any other miscellaneous? Okay. Thing any, so cue us up.
I'm sorry, could I just, I forgot, Martha Lou, since you're here. Did we reach out to? My question was Senator Murray. When I was in
Yes.
DC, I got to see her in a public health meeting and I thanked her for the $3 million, congressionally directed spending for the Sobering Center expansion. But I was just wondering,
She has.
is her office, are they going to be attending
I have not heard back from
the
them yet.
groundbreaking? Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need to maybe just follow up with Lisette or
I
someone
will
local?
do that.
Okay, all right,
Definitely.
thank you.
Would you like to cue us up for executive session?
Absolutely, Commissioner. Good morning. I have 3 executive sessions this morning. The first is 10 minutes pending potential litigation, no action. Jeff and Morris, myself, Vicky Dalton, Tim Dunavant, Josh Grote via Zoom, and Tessa Sheldon. Second executive session will be 15 minutes pending a potential litigation, no action. Jeff and Morris, myself, Kyle Tuig, Brent Badabo. Finally, pending potential litigation, no action. 30 minutes, Jeff McMorris, Devin Kurta, Wes Sickow, and Dan Gadd.
And Commissioner French?
I'll do mine after the 2 o'clock. It won't be enough time to do everything by noon.
All right, then we have executive session here for 55 minutes total. For the reasons stated, it is right now 10:15. At the conclusion of those executive sessions, we will adjourn for morning and we'll reconvene at 2 o'clock for our legislative agenda.